The police officer held up a clear evidence bag. Inside was my late father-in-law's gold wedding band, the one he'd pressed into my hand 3 days before he died. Ma'am, we received a report that you stole this ring and coerced Mr. Richard Brennan into changing his will while he was incapacitated. I looked past the officer's shoulder. My sister-in-law, Christine, stood on my front lawn, arms crossed, her husband Derek filming everything on his phone. She was wearing black, as if she'd come straight from a funeral, though Richard had been dead for 6 weeks. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I pulled out my phone, opened my photos, and turned the screen toward the officer. This is the medical log I kept as his primary caregiver. Every medication, every vital sign, every conversation, time-stamped and documented for 6 months. I'm a registered nurse. I know how to keep records. The officer's expression shifted. Ma'am, maybe we should talk inside. Before you hear the rest, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I love knowing who's part of this community. Inside my modest living room, I laid it out for the officers, calm and methodical, the way I'd explained treatment plans to families for a decade. 6 months ago, Richard Brennan was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. His daughter Christine lives in Phoenix. I live here in Portland. Richard asked me to be his medical power of attorney because I'm a nurse and because, as he said, I was the only one who showed up. I pulled up my bank statements on my laptop. I took unpaid FMLA leave from Oregon Health Sciences. 6 months, no income. That's $45,000 in lost wages. I clicked to the next screen. I paid for home health aides when I had to sleep, physical therapy equipment, specialized nutrition, medications insurance wouldn't cover. That's another $32,000 out of pocket. $77,000, the younger officer said quietly. For a man who wasn't even my blood relative, I continued. Richard was my husband's father. My husband, Michael, died of leukemia 2 years ago. Richard helped me through that. When he got sick, I wasn't going to abandon him. I showed them the texts, months of them, me updating Christine. Dad's eating better today. Dad wants to talk to you. Can you call? Dad's asking if you're coming for Christmas. Her responses were sporadic. Busy with work. Derek's mom is sick too. Can't afford a flight right now. Can't afford, I said, tasting the bitterness. But she could afford to hire a lawyer the day after Richard died. The officer closed his notepad. Ma'am, we're going to need to speak with the daughter outside. Do you have documentation of this ring being gifted to you? I pulled up a video on my phone. My hands were shaking now, but not from fear. From rage I'd been swallowing for 6 weeks. The video showed Richard in his hospital bed at home, 3 days before he died. His voice was weak but clear. Christine hasn't called in 2 weeks. She didn't come for Thanksgiving. She didn't come for Christmas. But you, Emma, you've been here every single day. His skeletal hand pushed the gold band across the blanket toward me. This was my father's ring. I want you to have it. You earned it. Mr. Brennan, I didn't do this for my voice on the video said. I know you didn't. That's why you deserve it. Emma, I'm changing my will. I'm leaving you the house. The video ended. The officer was staring at me. He left you his house? A 3-bedroom craftsman in southeast Portland, worth about $480,000. Christine was supposed to inherit it. Instead, Richard left it to me and divided his savings equally between both of us. She got $150,000 cash. I got the house and $150,000, and she's contesting it. She filed 3 days after the funeral. Claimed I manipulated him, isolated him from family, stole jewelry. Her lawyer sent me a letter demanding I vacate the property and return all gifts or face a lawsuit for elder abuse and financial exploitation. The officer stood. We'll talk to Miss Brennan. I don't think you have anything to worry about. But I did worry. As I watched them walk back outside, I felt the old familiar panic, the fixer instinct that had ruled my life since childhood. Maybe I should just give her the ring. Maybe I should offer to split the house 50-50. Maybe I should apologize for being the one who stayed. Then I looked around the living room. Richard's living room. My living room now. The medical equipment was gone, but I could still see the hospital bed against the wall. Could still hear the oxygen concentrator humming. I'd held Richard's hand as he died. Right here. Because he didn't want to die in a hospital. Christine had been in Phoenix, posting beach photos on Instagram. I wasn't giving her anything. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Emma Brennan? A woman's voice, crisp and professional. Emma Reeves, I corrected. I'd gone back to my maiden name after Michael died. Who's calling? Catherine Park. I'm the estate attorney who drafted Richard Brennan's will. I'm calling because Christine Brennan's lawyer just filed a motion to freeze the estate assets, including the house you're currently living in. They're claiming you coerced Richard and requesting a full investigation. The floor tilted. Can they do that? They can try. But Emma, I need you to understand something. Richard came to me of his own volition, fully competent, with extensive documentation. He anticipated this exact scenario. In fact, he predicted Christine's response almost word for word. Richard Brennan was one of the sharpest people I've ever worked with, even at the end. What are you saying? I'm saying Richard built protections into this will specifically because he knew his daughter would fight it. And I'm saying that if you want to honor Richard's wishes and protect what he left you, we need to move aggressively and immediately. Are you willing to fight? I thought about the video, about Richard's voice saying you earned it, about 6 months of 4 a.m., medication schedules and bed baths, and holding his hand through pain that made him sob, about Christine posting sunset photos while her father was dying 3,000 miles away. Yes, I said. I'm willing to fight. Good. I'm going to need every piece of documentation you have. Medical logs, text messages, bank statements, receipts, everything. Richard told me you kept detailed records. I'm a nurse. Documentation is what I do. Perfect. I'm also going to need you to do something that might feel uncomfortable. Richard set up a digital legacy file, videos and letters he recorded in his final weeks. He gave me permission to release them if Christine contested the will. These videos contain statements about his relationship with Christine, his reasons for changing the will, and his mental state. They're damning, Emma. They will hurt her. I hesitated. I don't want to destroy her. She's trying to make you homeless and brand you as an elder abuser. Richard predicted you'd have mercy. That's why he told me to tell you this. Tell Emma that sometimes love means protecting what matters, even when it's hard. She protected me. Now she needs to protect herself. Tears burned my eyes. That was so Richard, planning for this moment even from beyond the grave. Send me everything, I said. I'll send you my documentation. One more thing. Christine's lawyer is Marcus Webb, known for aggressive tactics in probate disputes. He'll try to make this public, drag your name through the mud, maybe even contact your employer. Are you prepared for that? My employer knows I took FMLA to care for family. I have nothing to hide. Good. I'll file our response tomorrow. This is going to get ugly, Emma. But you're not alone. The call ended. I sat in the silence of the house Richard left me, the house I'd cleaned and maintained and filled with the sounds of his labored breathing for half a year. Outside, I could hear Christine's voice rising, arguing with the police. I pulled up my laptop and started organizing files. 6 months of documentation, thousands of photos, hundreds of texts, dozens of videos. I'd kept everything. Not because I knew I'd need it, but because that's what nurses do. We document. We create paper trails. We protect ourselves and our patients with meticulous records. The first file I found was from the day Richard asked me to be his medical POA. We were sitting in his oncologist's office, 2 weeks after diagnosis. Christine had been supposed to fly in for the appointment but canceled at the last minute. Something about Derek's work situation. Emma, Richard had said, his hand shaking as he signed the papers. Christine is my daughter, and I love her. But she's not here. You are. That matters. I'd told him he didn't owe me anything. That I was doing this because he was Michael's father. Because Michael would have wanted me to. Michael chose well, he'd said. Your family, Emma. More than some people who share my blood. I created a folder called Evidence and started dragging files. Medical records showing Richard's competency. Text messages to Christine, begging her to visit. Bank statements proving I'd paid for his care out of my own pocket. Videos of Richard talking about his decisions, lucid and firm. The doorbell rang. I checked the camera. The police were gone. Christine and Derek were gone. Instead, an older woman in a navy suit stood on my porch, holding a briefcase. I opened the door. Catherine Park? Emma. I know I said tomorrow, but when I heard about the police visit, I thought we should meet tonight. May I come in? Over coffee at Richard's old dining table, Catherine spread out documents. She was 60, maybe, with sharp eyes and silver hair pulled back in a bun. She moved with the precision of someone who'd fought 1,000 battles and won most of them. Here's where we are, she said. Christine filed a petition to set aside the will based on 4 claims: undue influence, lack of testamentary capacity, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty. It's a kitchen sink approach. Throw everything and see what sticks. Will it stick? Not if we do this right. Richard's medical records show he was fully competent when he executed the will. I had him evaluated by a neuropsychologist specifically for this purpose. He scored in the 94th percentile for his age group on cognitive testing. She pulled out another document. This is the deposition I took of Richard 2 weeks before he died. Video recorded, notarized, with a medical expert present to certify his mental state. In it, he explains exactly why he's leaving you the house. Would you like to watch it? I nodded, not trusting my voice. Catherine opened her laptop. Richard appeared on screen, thin and pale but sitting upright, eyes clear. The date stamp showed October 15, 2 weeks before he died. State your name for the record, Catherine's voice said. Richard James Brennan. I'm 72 years old, and I'm of sound mind, though my body's checking out early. A ghost of his old humor. Mr. Baja. Brennan, why did you change your will to leave your house to Emma Reeves instead of your daughter Christine? Richard looked directly at the camera. Because Emma earned it. For 6 months, she's taken care of me. She quit her job. She spent her savings. She was here for every doctor's appointment, every bad night, every moment I was scared. My daughter Christine visited twice. Once in June for 3 days. Once in August for the weekend. She called maybe once a week, usually when Emma texted her to remind her. Did Emma ever ask you to change your will? Never. When I told her I was doing it, she tried to talk me out of it. Said Christine was my daughter and deserved the inheritance. That's exactly why I knew Emma was the right person to leave it to. She didn't want it. Christine counted on it. Are you making this decision of your own free will? Absolutely. I've thought about it carefully. I'm leaving Christine $150,000 in cash, which is more than generous. The house goes to Emma. She's earned it with every hour she spent caring for me. That house is worth about $480,000, and honestly, it's still not enough to repay her for what she's given up. The video ended. I was crying silently, tears running down my face. Catherine closed the laptop. This is what we're working with, Emma. Christine can claim anything she wants, but Richard made his wishes crystal clear. However, I need you to understand something. Just because we have a strong case doesn't mean this won't be brutal. Probate litigation can take years. It's expensive and emotionally draining. Christine has money from Richard's savings to fund her fight. Do you have resources for legal fees? I have about $40,000 left in savings after paying for Richard's care. That might not be enough if this goes all the way to trial. I charge $400 an hour, and a full trial could run $100,000 or more. However, Richard anticipated this too. He set aside $75,000 in a separate fund, specifically for legal fees to defend his will. That money is available to you. I felt a surge of gratitude so intense it hurt. Even in death, Richard was protecting me. There's something else, Catherine said. Christine doesn't know about that video deposition. She doesn't know about the neuropsych eval. She doesn't know about the legal defense fund. Her lawyer is operating on the assumption that you're a vulnerable nurse who can't afford a fight and will settle. I propose we let her keep thinking that for now. What do you mean? I mean we wait. Let her file her motions. Make her accusations. Spend her money on depositions and discovery. Let her show us her entire strategy. Then, when she's committed, when she's invested $50,000 or $60,000 in legal fees, when she thinks she's about to win, we hit her with everything. The video, the medical records, the proof that Richard was sharper than she'll ever be. We don't just win, Emma. We make it so expensive and humiliating that she never tries anything like this again. It felt ruthless. It felt calculating. It felt exactly like something Richard would have planned. Okay, I said. What do I need to do? For now? Nothing. Respond to discovery requests honestly and completely. Show up for depositions. Be the professional, compassionate nurse you are. Let Christine and her lawyer underestimate you. Meanwhile, I'll be building the case. And Emma, one more thing. Don't engage with Christine directly. No texts, no calls, no social media. Everything goes through me. Can you do that? I thought about the texts I'd sent Christine over 6 months. The updates, the pleas for her to visit, the photos of her father asking for her. I thought about her responses, dismissive and brief. I can do that, I said. Catherine left around midnight. I sat in the quiet house, exhausted but wired. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You stole everything from me. You took advantage of a sick old man. I hope you rot in hell. I screenshot it and forwarded it to Catherine, without responding. Let Christine rage. Let her show everyone who she really was. Over the next 3 weeks, Christine's campaign intensified. Her lawyer filed motion after motion. Marcus Webb was exactly as Catherine described. Aggressive, loud, willing to make wild accusations in court filings. According to him, I was a manipulative predator, who'd isolated Richard from his family, controlled his medications to keep him confused, and forged his signature on the will. The local news picked up the story. Nurse accused of elder abuse and inheritance dispute. My face on TV, a photo from my hospital ID badge. My employer called, concerned. I showed them my documentation, and they backed me fully. But it was humiliating. Christine gave an interview. My father was vulnerable and scared. Emma took advantage of that. She convinced him I didn't care, that I'd abandoned him. It's not true. I was dealing with my own family crisis. My husband's mother was dying too. I couldn't be in 2 places at once. I watched the interview alone in my living room and felt the old familiar guilt rising. Maybe she was right. Maybe I should have tried harder to get her to visit. Maybe I should have been more understanding. Then my phone rang. Catherine, did you see it? I asked. I did. It's perfect. She just committed perjury on camera. What? She claimed she couldn't visit because Derek's mother was dying. I pulled Derek's mother's obituary. She died in 2019, 3 years before Richard got sick. Christine just lied on television, and I have proof. Oh my God. It gets better. I've been deposing Richard's friends and neighbors. 4 of them are willing to testify that Richard repeatedly tried to get Christine to visit, and she made excuses. One has a voicemail from Richard, saved on his phone, where Richard is literally crying because Christine missed his birthday. Emma, we have her. When do we use it? Soon. Her lawyer just filed a motion for summary judgment, claiming the evidence is overwhelming that you manipulated Richard. He's asking the judge to set aside the will without a trial. That's our opening. We file our response with everything. The video deposition, the medical records, the neuropsych eval, the proof of her lies. We don't just defend. We destroy her case so completely that her own lawyer will advise her to drop it. And if she doesn't drop it, then we go to trial. And we humiliate her in open court. But Emma, I don't think it'll come to that. Once Marcus Webb sees what we have, he'll know he's going to lose. He'll pressure Christine to settle. I don't want to settle. I want the will to stand as Richard wrote it. That's exactly what we're going to get. The response brief was filed on a Friday. Catherine sent me a copy. It was 87 pages long, with 200 pages of exhibits. The video deposition was Exhibit A. The neuropsych evaluation was Exhibit B. The proof of Christine's lies was Exhibit C. By Monday morning, the story had flipped. Estate attorney reveals video evidence in inheritance dispute. The news played clips of Richard's deposition, his clear, lucid explanation of why he'd changed his will. They interviewed the neuropsychologist, who confirmed Richard had tested at genius level just 2 weeks before death. They also found the obituary for Derek's mother, died 2019. Christine's entire narrative collapsed. My phone started ringing. Friends I hadn't heard from in months, calling to say they'd always known I was innocent. Colleagues from the hospital, outraged on my behalf. My supervisor, asking if I wanted to come back to work early. But the call that mattered came Tuesday afternoon. Catherine, her voice tight with satisfaction. Marcus Webb just called me. He wants to talk settlement. What kind of settlement? He's advising Christine to drop the contest and accept the will as written. In exchange, you agree not to sue her for defamation or abuse of process. She tried to make me homeless. She called me a thief and an abuser on television. And now she wants me to just let it go? Yes, because if you don't, if we go to trial, she'll lose catastrophically. The judge could award you attorney's fees, sanction her for filing a frivolous lawsuit, even refer her for investigation of perjury. She's scared, Emma. We won. I wanted to say yes immediately. I wanted this to be over. But something made me hesitate. What did Richard want? I asked. Catherine was quiet for a moment. Richard left me instructions. If Christine contested the will and lost, I was to ensure she understood exactly why she lost. He wrote her a letter, to be delivered only if this specific scenario occurred. Would you like to hear it? Yes. Catherine read. Christine, if you're reading this, you've just tried to take from Emma what I freely gave her. You've accused her of manipulation when the truth is simple. She was here, and you weren't. You've claimed I was incompetent when I was never sharper about what mattered. Emma didn't steal your inheritance. You forfeited it by choosing not to show up. I loved you, Christine. I always will. But love doesn't mean I owed you a house you never visited or money to fund a life you couldn't be bothered to share with me at the end. Emma earned what I gave her. You earned what you're getting. I hope someday you understand the difference. Love, Dad. I was crying again. But this time it wasn't from sadness. It was from relief. Send the letter, I said. Accept the settlement. Let's end this. Are you sure? We could push for more. I'm sure. I don't want her money. I just want what Richard wanted me to have. The settlement was finalized a week later. Christine dropped the contest. The will stood as written. The house was mine. Free and clear. The $150,000 in savings Richard left me was mine too. Catherine delivered Richard's letter to Christine personally. I never found out how she reacted. I blocked her number, blocked her social media, and closed that chapter of my life. 3 months later, I was back at work, splitting my time between the hospital and planning renovations for the house. Richard's house. My house. I kept his bedroom exactly as it was, with his photos and his books and the quilt his mother made. The rest, I slowly made my own. One Saturday morning, I was painting the living room when the doorbell rang. I almost didn't answer, but I checked the camera and saw a young woman, maybe 25, holding flowers. I opened the door cautiously. Can I help you? Emma Reeves? I'm Sarah, Christine's daughter. Your niece, I guess, technically. I'd never met Sarah. Christine had moved to Phoenix before Sarah was born, and we'd never overlapped at family events. I saw the news, Sarah said, about the will and everything. I wanted to come apologize. You don't need to apologize for your mother's choices. I know, but I wanted you to know that I remember Grandpa Richard. He used to call me every week, send me birthday cards with $20 bills in them. He came to my high school graduation even though he was already sick. And my mom, she didn't make time for him. I was away at college, but I knew. He'd tell me how much he missed having family around. She held out the flowers. These are from me, not from her. I wanted to say thank you for taking care of him when we didn't. And I wanted to say I'm sorry for what my mom put you through. It wasn't right. I took the flowers, my throat tight. Do you want to come in? I can show you some of your grandpa's things. I've been thinking about what to do with his photos and books. Sarah smiled, and I saw Richard in her expression, the same warmth in her eyes. I'd really like that. We spent the afternoon going through Richard's belongings. I gave Sarah his photo albums, his favorite books, his watch, things Christine would have thrown away or sold, things that mattered. As Sarah left, she hugged me. Grandpa was right about you. You are family. After she drove away, I stood in the doorway of my house, the house Richard gave me, and I realized what he'd really left me wasn't just property or money. It was permission. Permission to stop being the fixer, the one who sacrificed everything for people who gave nothing back. Permission to choose myself. Permission to understand that love without reciprocity isn't love. It's exploitation. I'd spent $77,000 in 6 months of my life caring for Richard, and I'd gained something worth far more than money. The knowledge that I deserved to be chosen, that I deserved to be protected, that I deserved to be valued. What Richard really left me was my freedom, and I was finally free.